Most of us have recently been granted the privilege to vote in public elections, a very honorable symbol of democracy. The issue of felon disenfranchisement affects all of us because we have that privilege. I have reviewed multiple opinions from those who oppose and those who support felon disenfranchisement. I came to the conclusion that it is both reasonable and necessary for the state of Iowa to retain its policy on felon disenfranchisement. Although some people believe that it is unconstitutional to prevent persons of age from voting, it is necessary to revoke this right from those who have been convicted and incarcerated for committing federal offenses, because it protects the active members of society from the effects of poor decisions made by those who have little to no concern for the welfare of others' lives. Three of the big controversies over the disenfranchisement of felons are the constitutional right, human and moral rights, and the political strategy behind the policies. The first argument I came across was the disagreement of interpreting the Constitution of the United States. Those who oppose the application of disenfranchisement argue that this form of punishment is cruel and unusual, which contradicts the Eighth Amendment of the United States Constitution. However, these people ignore the other sections of the Constitution. Also written in the Constitution, Section 1 of the 14th Amendment states that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the laws. The disenfranchisement of felons does not deprive them of these rights, and is not considered to be neither cruel nor unusual punishment. In his 2016 article, The Consistency of Felon Disenfranchisement with Citizenship Theory, Jason Shaw researched the case Green v. Board of Electors of the City of New York, which ruled that disenfranchisement is in fact constitutional. The appointed judge of the case, Henry Finley, shared that he believes, quote, that it is reasonable for criminals to be excluded from electing those who would enforce the laws or judge criminal trials, unquote. This statement is very logical and agreeable, but now, instead of thinking only about the life of a criminal, think about the lives of the people they have harmed. Opposing views believe that it is against human rights and democracy that felons and ex-felons lose their privilege to vote. People who have been incarcerated deserve a second chance after prison. They deserve another shot at life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as stated in the Declaration of Independence, right? Right. Everyone deserves liberty and happiness again. Again, what about the victims of the crimes that were committed? Life and liberty, yes. All ex-convicts are free of prison and free to travel, and free to live their lives again under the laws of the United States of America. The pursuit of happiness, which, again, they are free to aim for, so long as their pursuit doesn't earn them their very own place back in prison. Think about this. These criminals don't just break the law without affecting others physically, emotionally, or financially. Murderers have taken the life of another human being, an act that many find impossible to do with or without reason. Criminals who traffic and enslave other people for a variety of reasons, including prostitution, are robbing them of their liberty. And all the victims, men, women, and children, who have been mentally, physically, and emotionally scarred from heinous acts of violence, may never be able to pursue their vision of happiness ever again. Compared to what they have taken from their victims, withholding an ex-felon's privilege to vote in public elections until deemed fit is a slap on the hand and does not violate their rights as an American citizen. The idea of human rights ties into the political arguments of felon disenfranchisement very strongly. Those who oppose felon disenfranchisement often use a large percentage of minorities in prison to give policies the illusion of racial prejudice, which of course would be against the law. Disenfranchisement eliminates racial prejudice towards minorities because it gives felons and ex-felons the same treatment. There is an illusion of prejudice in the government when it comes to disenfranchisement because there are political strategies that revolve around the votes of those who are and have been incarcerated, and furthermore are under the effect of disenfranchisement laws. In her 2004 article, Will the Votes of All Americans Be Counted on November 2nd, Mary Cooper states that, quote, Republicans charge that Democrats are padding registration lists. Democrats say Republicans are trying to disenfranchise African Americans, Hispanics, former felons thought likely to vote Democratic, unquote, which provides evidence of the previously stated racial strategy in politics. A logical conclusion to the controversy of felon disenfranchisement in Iowa is simple. Keep the policies in place. The disenfranchisement of felons is constitutional, humanly and morally appropriate, and eliminates racial prejudice in the judicial system and political arguments. Most of us, as American citizens, are able to vote. Do you really want people who hardly consider the welfare of others to choose who upholds the very laws they are willing to break? It is necessary to revoke the privilege to vote from those who have been convicted and incarcerated for committing federal offenses, because it protects the active members of society from the poor decisions made by those who have broken the law.